So we got some pretty major leaks to jump into today, which includes some first looks. We got some never before seen images, as well as some mock-up photos for these upcoming releases. And you're gonna wanna stay tuned till the end, as we got a rumored release, which happens to come from one of the biggest names in sneakers, which it's been that way for a while now, but it kind of feels like as of lately, this dude's been getting a lot of backlash from the community. So I'm definitely curious to know what y'all think about this potential release right here, which to kick things off, we're gonna start with the Jordan 6 reverse infrared, which even if you just say casually follow sneakers, you should know one of the most iconic Jordans of all time as far as the black infrared 6s. This was back in '91 when MJ was going for his first championship run with the Chicago Bulls as they took down the Los Angeles Lakers. So on top of just looking great, a lot of history behind this release right here, which it feels like the audience is kind of confused when you talk about the reverse infrared name, because when you just first glance at these, it's kind of hard to tell what makes these different from the last time that these dropped, which as far as the details, for those of us who like casually follow sneaker news online, we would already know that this sneaker is based off of a sample, which did pop out during the initial run for the OG release, which as far as the major details you will see in the sole, which does feature that kind of reverse infrared effect. Here's a look at the original release versus the reverse infrared, and then you'll notice that as far as the Nike Air on the back, the OG pair had a blacked out Nike Air, while this one has the infrared visibly present. So as far as retro releases of this sneaker throughout the years, in 2000 we probably received the pair which most people prefer, which as far as the shade of red, it was almost kind of like more of a true red. In 2014 we received the pair which, when you talk about that shade of red, it was like damn near pink. And then as far as the 2019 version, I think they did a lot better with this one. So as far as this shade of red, it seems to be a lot more true red, which I'm a fan of, but I just can't really get on board with the whole reverse infrared effect. It's almost kind of like giving me like Team Jordan vibes, which this sneaker doesn't drop until 2026. So we got a little ways away to kind of maybe sway my opinion on this one right here. But based off the fact that these are going to be dropping top of the year, I kind of see these going similar to like how we saw the black metallic 5s, which had an insane demand, just due to the fact that it's an iconic OG and one of the early Jordan retros of the year. So I kind of expect this release to have a similar effect on that one. Now we also got to look here at the next upcoming Nigel Sylvester collaboration, which I do also want to mention. Anytime you see a sneaker tag with this XC sneaker or XC made, just know that it's unofficial. It's not actually coming directly from Nike or Jordan brand. So everything's subject to change, but more so than likely, this is exactly what these joints are going to look like. So when you talk about Nigel Sylvester, he's coming off the Jordan 1 low, better with time. And as far as Jordan 4s, he's coming off the brick by brick. So I would say with this one, pretty big shoes to fill, but I think even though everybody's off the first glance loving the brick by bricks a whole lot more, by the time we actually see these joints hit the streets next summer, I think people are going to be going absolutely crazy for these right here, which of course, based off the Jordan 4 Fire Red, some noticeable differences right off the back. You kind of got this yellowing effect, almost like that pre-age look, which everybody seems to hate, which is kind of on brand with Nigel Sylvester releases. I don't know if that's the cinnabar that they're referring to, but it's that pre-age look, which you guys see visibly present in the sole as well as in the netting, which based off the Fire Red 4s, those seem to have more of like a black backdrop when you talk about the netting. So I actually feel like this lighter tone does complement the sneaker overall. You also will see the mini swoosh, which is kind of a staple for Nigel Sylvester releases. And I don't know how they could give us the early first look at these joints without giving us the back shot, the Nike Air on the back, to see if these feature the signature bike Air, which more so than likely these definitely will. And as I mentioned, I know a lot of people rock with the brick by bricks, but when you guys see these dropping next summer, you already know people are going to be going absolutely crazy for these. Now, next up, according to Soul Retriever, it looks like we can look forward to seeing more Kobe Bryant Air Force Ones, which are going to be releasing coming up later this year up until spring of 2026. So when you talk about these Kobe Air Force Ones, I feel like it's an organic collaboration, because just like everybody else, Kobe Bryant, he was known to rock Air Force One lows, and when we talk about the backstories and the themes for these releases, they're generally gonna have some type of like theme based off of some type of iconic Kobe moments, or a history that lines up with his legacy. So as far as these right here, these just continue the Kobe releases. We got the linen pair, which is supposed to be dropping coming up this holiday season. You also have a Pinksicle pair, which I guess is slated to drop spring of 2026. Interesting to see what the backstory is on that one. as well as these lemon venom joints. But as far as the pair, which I feel like has the most potential, you got the work blue pair, which if these look anything like this mock-up image right here would suggest, I feel like these joints go crazy just due to the fact that they were dropping these type of throwback jerseys, the MPLS, back when I was like in high school. So it just got super nostalgic vibes, and I feel like this would be one that out of all the pairs that we see, the ones that people will be most excited for. So when you talk about Nike bringing back the Kobe Air Force Ones, who's complaining? It just continues the Kobe line and expands it into other options, continues to honor his legacy. And, this is just great for Kobe fans all across the board. Now, lastly, before we bounce, guys, we're going to get into a rumored release right here, which this actually happens to come from one of the biggest names in sneakers, where you got this dude talking about reverse high, Mocha Trav. Now, this is where things get real interesting, because if you guys weren't around back in 2019 when we saw the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Mocha originally dropped, this is when the time when Travis was coming off of the Jordan 4 release, and this kind of set the tone. The Travis Jordan 1 has become a staple, as we've seen them pretty much flooding the market with these from 2019 up until just like last year, to which, as far as these releases, Nike does gauge the demand for these drops based off the amount of entries that you see via the sneakers app. And when you talk about Travis 1 releases, these always top, the most entries via the sneakers app. Now, I'm not saying that they make the most pairs, but these definitely have the highest demand. So as far as a reverse Mocha, this is what these could potentially look like. This is a sneaker which we saw Travis Scott rocking as samples, during the original run from that 2019 release, which when you talk about Travis Scott drops, like, I could definitely see this one happening. And if you're kind of wondering, like, where does this rumor come from? This actually happens to come from a very well-known sneaker reseller, which he's actually known to obtain a lot of samples from time to time. He's that plugged in, I guess, with whoever over at Nike or with the factories or whatever you want to say. So I would say that more so than likely what we're seeing right now here is like a sample run, which they generally would produce to say, like, if Travis Scott or his team would approve for an official retail release. And if you think about it, just based off the way Travis Scott releases have went, like, he's definitely proven himself with Jordan Brand and Nike to release his own model of his own. Like I mentioned, they kind of slowed down with the Travis Scott Jordan 1 collabs this year. We do have the one confirmed pair coming up soon. But outside of that, they pretty much just been focusing on his all original models, such as the Jumpman Jack, as well as the Zoomfield Jack. And unfortunately, when you talk about the hype, a lot of the hype as far as these collaborations do come from the big name like Travis Scott, but it also comes from the hype of a classic silhouette such as, say, a Jordan 1. So it seems like the hype hasn't really been there for Travis's all original models, and I could definitely see the higher ups at Nike being like, yo, Trav, we need some hype. Let's run some of those Travis 1s once again. And on top of that pair, he's also saying those pink Trav Jordan 1 lows, yeah, those could possibly drop as well. And if you guys are unfamiliar, here they go right here, which for me, I feel like these joints go absolutely crazy. So when you talk about Travis Scott releases, it could look like they're going back to a familiar playbook, and coming up in 2026, we could see the Travis Scott Jordan 1 returning in a major way. Low tops as well as high top pairs. So let me know what y'all think about that one, as well as all of these other leaks right here. We got some pretty dope Jordans set to release next year as far as these, setting off the tone for retros in 2026. And then we got some dope Kobe's to look forward to. And let's not forget about these Nigels. Drop your feedback down below. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed. JATV, I'm out. Love.